Frollo is the app that several thousand single parents say has been life-changing for them in the most profound way. If you're a single parent and want to connect with other single parents and open yourself up to an amazing support network and new experiences, then the Frollo app is the one for you. The Frollo app has two modes: community mode for meetups and holidays, guidance and support, chats, and discovery to make it easy to find like-minded local single parents near you. Dating mode is a mindful, safe, and respectful dating offering where everybody is there to date another single parent. All users on Frollo are verified, putting our user safety first always. The Frollo app is free to download and use, with the option to upgrade to premium for access to lots of additional premium features for an elevated experience, which makes it easier than ever to access the incredible connections and experiences you're looking for. To download Frollo, search for Frollo, Frollo, on the App or Google Play Store, or go to www.frollo.com for more info. We can't wait to see you on the app soon. Hi, I'm Zoe Desmond, the founder of Frollo, the award-winning app for single parents that features both community and dating modes. And I'm also co-author, along with my wonderful friend Rebecca Cox, that I made through Frollo, of the book How to Be a Happy Single Parent. Welcome to this week's episode of the Frollo podcast. And this week, I'm delighted to be joined by Julia Hasche, who's in Queensland, but from Sydney. And Julia runs an amazing community and podcast called The Single Mother's Survival Guide. So amongst other things, you're a certified divorce coach, Julia, I know, and you've also kind of evolved into lots of other brilliant things, but better to hear it from you. So I'd love to welcome you onto the podcast. So thrilled to talk to you. It's been many years that we've been kind of aware of each other and we've connected a couple of times. So I'm so pleased that we're finally doing this. And I've been, admiring your work from afar. So it's such a pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you. Me too. I'm so happy we're doing this.
Me too. Great. Well, Julia, I'd love you to tell our listeners a bit more about you and what you do, and then maybe we can delve into your story as a single parent and what led you to creating this amazing work that you're doing.
Sure. So as you mentioned, I'm a certified divorce coach and I'm also a certified transition and a recovery coach. And I work with women who have children to go from feeling alone and overwhelmed and frustrated and unsure how to move forward to a place of calm and clarity and connection and being in control, living happily with intention and purpose. And I work with a variety of women. Either they're generally thinking about potentially going through the divorce or separation process if they're not married, or they're in the middle of the process and they're going through it, or they've come out the other side and they're just feeling really stuck and unsure of how to move forward. So there's really a variety of women that I tend to work with from all different stages of the single mum path, I guess. I love what I do. So I divorce coach and do the transition and recovery coaching. And then I also run Thrive Tribe, which is a global online only membership experience for single mums to grow and heal and thrive, and also to connect and be a part of an amazing community. And then I've got my podcast and my blog. So I love it. Like, you and I were talking recently about just living with purpose and how becoming a single mum, it's really not initially, but for me, and I know for you, it's kind of become a gift, and it's become an opportunity to really tap into our purpose and live our best lives. So yeah, I love what I do, and makes me really happy to be able to support other women going through a similar path.
Amazing. And everything you've just said there, it kind of reminded me of that quote, which is, give a busy person a job and they'll get it done. You know, not only are you a single mom, but now with all of these different kind of strands to your business and this amazing work that you're doing. So before we kind of lean into some of those areas that you're working on to support single moms, what was your own journey? How did you come to be so passionate about this, and what is your story, your single parent story?
So I always wanted to be a mother, and I came out of a pretty bad relationship right before I met my daughter's dad, and we had been friends for a long time. Sorry, before we started a relationship. So we'd been friends for a long time, but we started a relationship after I sort of came out of this really physically abusive relationship. And we both kind of wanted the same thing. We wanted to, settle down, have children. And I always thought, I'm going to have 4 kids. I'm going to be happily married. That was my dream, like my goals. And everything was a bit, things turned, shall I say, when I became pregnant. So we decided to have a baby, and the relationship got really toxic at that point. And there was a lot of on and off in our relationship. And I was really struggling with the idea of even becoming a single mum because I was pregnant. And I was just like, no, like it's not an option. I can't. But at the same time, there was this other part of me that was like, you can't stay in this relationship. You just can't. Like, it's so unhealthy. So I'd gone from being in a physically abusive relationship to an emotionally abusive relationship. And I tried really hard to stay in that relationship and to figure out what the heck I could do to try and solve it, to try to work it out. We did get counseling together, but the counselor at one point said to us, like, I don't know if this is going to work for you guys. In a kind of, roundabout way. And we really stuck it out. And then, our daughter was born. And then 2 months later, we called it quits. And I think having my child gave me a sense of strength that I didn't have in me before. And I realized with certainty I didn't want to raise my daughter in that kind of environment. And seeing her 2 parents as a role model for a future relationship. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want her to think that was normal. And I'd also completely lost myself in that relationship. I'd been so isolated from my family and my friends. I was a shell of who I'd been before, which was quite a sociable, confident, outgoing person. I wasn't that person anymore. And I didn't want her to have a mum like that. I wanted her to have like me, the real me as her mum. So that kind of cemented it for me. And then we split up, and that was 10 years ago. I mean, a bit over 10 years ago. So it's been quite a journey. I was a single mum for 8 years before I met my now husband. And they were some of the best years of my life. Like, I just loved it. I was even talking to my daughter the other day, and I was like, do you ever miss it when it's just the 2 of us? And she's like, sometimes, but I really love our life now as well, And I was like, I know, it's good. Like, she's like, you picked a good one. And I'm like, yes, I did.
That's so gorgeous. And because I have Billy, so just, one child as well. And it's that bond, isn't it, that you create during those single parent years.
There's nothing like
there's nothing quite like it. Yeah.
It's so special. And even now, like, because, we do have a different family dynamic now, I'm constantly trying to spend one-on-one time with my daughter. We go on little trips together, just the two of us, because I never want to lose that. Like, I never want to lose that beautiful bond that we have and sharing beautiful experiences and making more memories together.
Yeah, I love that you still prioritize those one-on-one trips together. That's so lovely. I think that's, that's one of the things that I kind of appreciate and value and look forward to the most with my son is just our adventures together.
Yeah, they're so good. And like, I mean, obviously having a kid is like different at all stages. There's like good and bad to each. But I am liking this kind of age. My daughter's 10 now, and it's she's just very, I think this is another thing that comes from kids that grow up in a single parent family. I mean, to me, they seem a lot more mature. They seem a little bit more wiser. They seem a little bit more I don't know. I don't want to say adult because they're kids, but at the same time, like my daughter can really speak to adults. Like I notice her friends can't as much, the ones that don't grow up in single parent families. And I think it's because, she was always around me and my friends and, like it's very, they have a good, I think they can communicate well with adults and they're kind of more of a teammate. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, my son is 7.5 now, but I've noticed really this year that seems to be an emotional intelligence to him that I don't necessarily see in some other kids of his age, and just just an awareness, which is actually lovely to see. But I was going to ask, so I'm so interested. Your daughter was only 2 months old when you broke up, a turbulent relationship. As you put it, you were a shell of your former self and wanted to get back to yourself. And, a new mom, that is so tough and so challenging. I can completely empathize with you because I was in that situation when my son was a year old. So, I totally appreciate how kind of overwhelming all of it must have felt. So how did you then, what were your steps to kind of pick yourself up and to start putting one foot in front of the other? How did you go from that to this?
I think, initially I took time to just really not do anything, but just to actually just be and heal from the situation and try to also logistically settle into our new life. I had to find somewhere to live and it was all just, and I moved interstate. So I had to I had to set up a whole house from scratch. It was an apartment actually. Like it was really hard. And I was lucky because I had a lot of savings. So I didn't have to rush back straight to work. So I really just enjoyed the rest of my maternity leave because I was so upset because at the time I felt like there were so many moments that were taken from me as a new mum. For example, I don't know, like he didn't want our daughter to sleep in our room. He thought that was like spoiling her. Like he would not physically let me pick up the baby when she was screaming. He would not let me pick her up. And he thought, she's like a newborn baby. And he's like, no, she needs to just cry, like you're spoiling her. I was like, hello, like babies cry because they need comfort or they're hot or cold or they're hungry or they have a wet nappy. They're not like trying to annoy you, like their brains aren't that developed. They just like express their, emotions with crying. And that's one of the ways. So I felt like I'd lost a lot and I didn't want to lose that maternity leave experience as well. I really just wanted to have that time with her and just be. So I did that. And then I sort of was like, okay, I got to find some people. Like I had friends. I've always had a lot of friends. I've been very lucky. I have a very supportive family. However, none of them understood what I was going through. I only knew one other single mum, and her kids were much older than, my little baby. So I was like, I got to find some people who are like me, because I don't know I need to express myself. I need to talk to people. Like, which is why I think what you've created is so wonderful, because it solves this problem. So I started a single mums group in my area. I looked for one, couldn't find one. So I started one. And then I started creating events, and I started meeting up with women who were also single mums in my area. And I met one in particular that I became really good friends with. She had a baby, which is exactly the same age as mine, very similar situations with our exes. And there was a whole other group of women as well. And we used to catch up all the time. We'd, meet in the park and have coffees while the babies like crawled around. And as they got older, we'd do wines in the afternoon. And, it was really nice. And I think that had a huge impact on my healing, because I realized I had a lot of shame attached to being a single mum. The whole term, I didn't even like it, and so then I actually started to realize I was like, I didn't even have a bad opinion of single mums myself, but I just think I thought that everyone else would have a bad opinion of me. And so I was like, all these single moms are so amazing. They're beautiful, they're intelligent, they're motivated, they're kind, they're just amazing people. And it made me kind of see that it's okay. It's okay to be a single mom. All these people are completely normal, just like you. No one's going to think badly of you, it's fine. So that really started to change my mindset, I think. And, then going back to work obviously was a challenge. I was working in a corporate role, in a corporate position as an engineer at the time, and it was long hours, and I felt like such a failure, Zoe. I was I was always my daughter was the first one at daycare drop off at 7 a.m. So I could go to the gym and then go to work, and then I'd leave the office, first person to leave the office, even though I left at 5, which was official working hours. But I'd get back to daycare at 6, which was right when daycare closed. I felt like I was constantly not fulfilling my role as a mother. And I was also not matching up to what all my colleagues were doing, which was a 7 to 7 kind of roster, even though we weren't meant to. It was meant to be 9 to 5, but what is it with these people trying to work so much longer? It's just, I felt so much pressure, and I just felt like I was just stuffing up both. And I got made redundant not long after, a couple of years later. And it was such a blessing, because during that time I started thinking, this work is so, I was going to swear, but I won't.
You can if you like.
This work is so mind numbing, I didn't enjoy it. I was just it didn't bring any passion. It was just, I don't know. It was just, my heart wasn't in it. And my heart wanted to be at home looking after my daughter, not calling all these nannies in when she was sick, so I didn't have to call in sick to go to work. So I initially started my business, so I started retraining and building up my business during this time when I was working, because I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to find a better way to do this, because this is not possible. And I found through my group of single mums, and as the group started growing more, and as the years went on, I was like, I love supporting new single mums. It really makes me so happy. And so I got certified. Did the training and the qualification to become a certified divorce coach, and also a certified transition and recovery coach. And I had this kind of weird, really difficult period where I was doing both, working as an engineer and growing my business at the same time. And the main reason why I was doing it at the beginning was because I wanted the flexibility. I wanted the hours at home with my daughter, but that wasn't actually happening anyway, because I was basically working 2 full-time jobs at the time to try to do both. But it's so funny, because as things evolved, I was like, I love this work so much and the flexibility is great. But like now I'm just like, how could I have ever been working in engineering? It just brought nothing like for my soul, like no, like, and now I feel like I don't even feel like I'm working, like it doesn't feel like work to me. It just feels like I'm just having fun.
So, Julia, what's it like to be a single parent in Australia? How are single parents supported in Australia? Do you feel single parents are supported? Is there any stigma? Is there a good support system set up through the workplace? Or, yeah, I'd love to get a picture.
Yeah, I think it's changed a lot over the last 10 years. When I first became a single parent in 2013, it was really hard. And I had a lot of meetings with my boss about I wanted to do flexible working and I wanted to work a couple of days from home a week. And they just would not have it. It was just like, no. And I was just like, why? Like in my head, I was just like, it doesn't make sense. There's no need for me to be here. And it would have made a huge difference. Like just little things like being able to put on a load of washing in the day rather than like having to do it all at night and then you're losing sleep. And like it just would have made a huge difference to my well-being, and just saving a couple of hours a day in travel like would have made a world of difference. It wasn't an option for me. Obviously, with COVID, everything changed. I mean, by then I was already self-employed. So I think that would have changed things a lot, though. It has changed things a lot in a lot of workplaces for people because they've seen that flexible working and working from home does work. It's not as bad as people think. In fact, it has many benefits. But I guess it also depends on the industry that you work in, and who your boss is. I know people that have really supportive employers and they're really quite flexible, and then other people don't. Like I think it really depends on the workplace and also what job you're doing, I guess, whether you can do that kind of thing. But I know for me, when I was working, I just always felt a lot of pressure, and it was, had to be there. There was no choice.
So in the media, are single parents, represented in a kind of balanced way or in a kind of positive way, or in that kind of outdated sort of single parent stereotype that I'm sure has been sort of, is, something that's been the case across the globe. I know certainly here in the UK and Ireland, it's been a struggle. So I'm assuming it's no different there. So I'm just wondering if how you feel about it, or if there's still work to be done on that front.
I think there's still work to be done, but I do think it's improved. Like I think 10 years ago, when I first became a single parent, I was very aware of a lot of things in the media that were really, frankly, I found really offensive, and especially because I was a new single mum. Like, just what politicians say, and just even little comments like little things like, oh, if there's a crime, probably, raised in a single parent household, like, little kind of snide things like that where you're just like, what? Like, why?
I know.
Is that necessary? Like, what? It's so frustrating. And when I was first a single mum, I found that really, really offensive. And I remember watching a comedy show on Netflix one night, and there was like this really, I don't know, it was just like making fun of single mums and sort of basically implying that they had no education, that probably working as strippers, this kind of thing. And I was just like, this is, maybe people find it funny, but I was like super sensitive about it at the time.
Oh, I don't think that's being super sensitive. I think it's outrageous.
Yeah, and it feeds that stigma, that constant stigma that exists. So I just feel like there's more work that needs to be done. But at the same time, I think it has got better. And I think single parents are represented a lot better in the media. They're just even like having more single mums just on like shows, TV shows, where they're not like these stuff ups of life. Do you know what I mean? Like they're just regular people, but they happen to be single and happen to have children.
Exactly. Absolutely. That's it. I feel so passionate about, you know, yeah, having a more balanced portrayal in society of what a family looks like, instead of it just being that go-to nuclear family setup, because we live in a world where that is just not the reality. There are people having kids, on choosing to have kids on their own, men and women. There are, single parent families all over the world. That's only going to continue to be the case. People thankfully aren't staying in relationships that are unhealthy and destructive and toxic to both them and the kids. So it just makes complete sense for society to kind of be supportive and, create a more, create a more supportive and empowering narrative for single parents.
Yeah, exactly.
So in your work as a certified divorce coach and transition and recovery coach, if someone came to you looking for your help, what would that look like?
So first I would do like do you mean like practicality, or like in terms of what kind of work I would do?
Yeah, like if I was say a newly single parent that came to you as a kind of potential new client, what does the whole process look like, and how would you work together?
Oh, okay. So I do, unless someone is 100% sure they want to do coaching and what kind of coaching they want, then otherwise I would do a call with them. So I'd normally do a 30-minute complimentary clarity call with someone. And during the call, we talk about what someone's current situation is, like what's brought them to seek out coaching with me. And then we'll talk about what kind of outcomes and results they want and what is standing in their way of getting them right now. And if I can help them achieve their goals, basically. And if we're a good fit, it's basically an interview for each other, because I think it's really important for someone who's going to get a coach to make sure they get the right coach for them, because everyone does have different kind of methods and, they're where they are as a person. And also for me to make sure that I can help them with their specific outcomes that they want. And then I'll tell them about the different packages that I have, and then we'll get started. So that's kind of how it works. So I tend to work with, as I mentioned before, like a whole bunch of different types of people. So some of them might be mums who are feeling really overwhelmed about the emotional part of a potential divorce, and they might be just wanting to learn to manage those big feelings and working out what it is that they want moving forward, so that they can make decisions that will affect the rest of their lives. Because the thing is, when people are going through a separation or divorce, you have to make some pretty big decisions. And this is one of the most stressful life transitions that someone will go through. And they're making these big decisions at their most stressed and lowest point often. And during those moments is when your brain is actually, like the front part of your brain that is responsible for logical thinking and rational thought and decision making and problem solving, switches off if you're in a dysregulated state of fight or flight, which many of us are when we're going through a transition like this. So it's helping women with those sorts of things. Or it might be, working with women who are experiencing conflict in co-parenting. So, we'll work on strategies and boundaries and communication to protect themselves so that they have increased mental well-being and happiness, and then a more peaceful co-parenting environment. Or it might be working with mums to help identify if they're about to go through mediation, to identify what their actual priorities and goals are, so that they're prepared to go into mediation not only as their best selves, but also from an interest-based, solution-focused perspective, and that way improve their chances of a successful outcome. Or, you know, it might be getting mums set up for success before separation, or during or after, beyond, basically just to help them with intention and knowledge and strategy so that whatever they're going through, they're prepared, they're confident, and they're clear on their wants and needs. I've also actually recently done a lot of additional training in trauma, which I'm absolutely obsessed with at the moment. And I've been working with women who are stuck in a place of dysregulation or living with unresolved trauma so that they can become regulated and transform their trauma. That's something that I'm really into at the moment, like the whole somatic part of it and, you know, nervous system regulation work and all that stuff. It's fascinating. And
wow,
yeah.
I am so into that as well. I mean, I don't, I definitely don't specialize in it, but I'm, you know, super interested in that. And as you said, there's so many of us single parents that will have experienced trauma, whether it's a widowed single parent who's, you know, lost their partner, or, you know, someone who's been through a relationship breakdown or coming out of an abusive relationship or whatever it is. So it's a really great, I love that you're integrating that aspect of it as well. It makes complete sense.
Yeah, because I mean, even a separation or divorce in itself can be a trauma. And I think there's so many symptoms, I guess, that can come out of it. Like people always get, you know, diagnosed with mental health conditions, right? Like they might get diagnosed with anxiety or depression, but they're often not actually addressing the root cause of them, which is the trauma. So, you know, you can take some pills or, you know, speak to a psychologist. Talk therapy is awesome. But at the same time, if you've got trauma and it's like stuck in your body, it's not going to change. It's not going to make it go away. You know, you're addressing the symptom rather than the actual source of the problem.
Yeah, that is so interesting. Well, I know that you are going to be hosting a virtual meetup on the Frollo app. And when this episode goes live, the details for that will be in the show notes and we'll promote it. But yeah, there are just so many things that expert meetup could be focused on.
I'm excited
because
about
you've just
that.
got so many. Yeah, I know. So I can't wait to see what you decide is the kind of area of focus for that. Because
do I get to pick?
You can pick, because all of what you do is so relevant. Is so relevant to the Frollo community. So yeah, I'm excited. So watch this space. So a surprise in the show notes for anyone who's listening. So I guess, Julia, my final question, based on, you know, the amazing journey that you've been on as a single parent who, you know, it started out being such tough beginnings of being a new mom, and you know you've gone on to really just create this amazing community of single moms in Australia, you know, and really kind of flip everything on its head, which is just so cool, and the amount of people that you're helping as well through all of these different strands of the work that you're doing to support single parents. So, I mean, no better woman to ask this question to. What would your advice to a newly single parent who's really struggling be?
First of all, you've got to grieve. And that's going to take time. You know, it's not something that's just going to feel better instantly. It's a real process of time, and obviously getting support through that if you need it. But what an amazing opportunity to rebuild, you know, to reconnect with yourself, to get back your self-esteem, your sense of self-worth, to feel secure and confident within yourself. I think one of the best ways to do that is to really, to get some direction, is to set some goals and just think about, like, rediscover yourself, work out what it is that you want. This is actually one of the great things I think that comes out of a separation, is because I think we're more closed-minded in relationships. And when you're single, suddenly the possibilities are endless. You know, like, I don't know, when I was in my relationship, I wouldn't be like, oh, maybe I'll have a career change, or maybe I'll go traveling. Like, I just think when you're single, you really, the world is open and you can do whatever it is that you want and what makes you happy. You've just got to figure out what that is and then work out, you know, little steps to get you there. And then I think, you know, like what you're doing, Zoe, is amazing. Like, I think connect with other single mums and just get the support. I think, I mean, from a logistical standpoint, I also think it's really important to do a budget because that is an important part of single parenting. You're often going from 2 incomes to 1. So things might need to change. And I think I do see a lot of resistance sometimes in the women that I work with in that area. But, you know, nothing is forever. And that's, you know, something to keep in mind. Maybe you have to stop that gym membership, or, you know, a couple of things for a year or even less, or maybe a bit more, but it doesn't matter because it's all temporary. And I think, you know, when I was a single mum at the beginning, I had so much worry, not just financially, but also just in terms of, will my daughter be okay? And will I be okay? And what if you know, am I going to be single now forever? Because who the heck would want to be with me? Now, like, now I'm a single mum. Like, I had all these thoughts. And if I could go back to that version of Julia, I wish I could say, everything is going to be okay. Just relax. Like, it's just enjoy this time, because when I do look back on that time, it was one of the happiest times of my life. And at the time I was so kind of filled with worry and, you know, anxiety and stress that I couldn't really enjoy it. So I would say take some time to just, you know, be with your kids, to look after yourself. Self-care is so important for us. It's so important. Like, it's not selfish. I just want to get that in everybody's head. Like, it's essential for us to really, you know, look after our well-being and to make us happy. And if we're happy, our kids are happy too. So those are a few things to get started on.
They are brilliant pieces of advice. And I wholeheartedly agree. And I think what you said about, you know, everything is going to be okay, I think that's the ultimate message, isn't it? Because it is. And actually, and, you know, I think a lot of us single parents who have been on this journey for some time say, actually, it's going to be more than okay. And like you and I have said a few times when we've spoken, is that actually it's a gift. And that's the last thing I would have called it, you know, 6 years ago when it was happening, but it really, truly has been a gift. Julia, thank you so much. It is so lovely to be properly connected. And I'm just, so I love the work that you're doing. I'm fully kind of, behind everything that you're doing. And I'm looking forward to collaborating more, and excited for your meetup on Frollo as well.
Yes. Look, thank you so much for having me, Zoe. I've loved it. I love what you're doing. And I'm so glad we finally got to record this podcast. And thanks for having me on the show.
You are so welcome. And then finally, can you let our listeners know exactly where to find you?
Yes, you can find me on my website, which is www.singlemothersurvivalguide.com. So you'll find links on there for my coaching, the link for my Thrive Tribe community, and you will see all the blog posts that I've done and the podcast episodes. And my email is there as well. And if you want to connect with me on social media, I'm on Instagram at Julia Bass Coaching. A little bit confusing because I just got married last year, so I'm kind of in the process of changing my name. And on Facebook at Single Mother Survival Guide.
amazing. And we'll put all of that in the show notes as well. Julia, thank you so much. And it's been so lovely to chat.
It's been so lovely. You're so welcome. Thanks again so much for having me.
And that's a wrap for this week. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you did, then I have one small favour to ask. Please can you take a minute to subscribe to the Frollo podcast and give us a rating and review. This really helps other single parents who might benefit from it find us. The Frollo app, which is fully user verified for user safety, is available on the Google Play Store and the App Store, and you can find out more info and download links at www.frollo.com or follow us on Instagram at Frollo app. And you can purchase your copy of our book, How to Be a Happy Single Parent, at all the major book retailers. Until next time, have a great week.